How long gone? Beans being so weird. Let's focus, Jason. It's time to podcast. It's a fucking Tuesday in December. Or no, November. Sorry.
It's almost.
I'm jumping ahead.
It's almost.
I'm jumping
I mean,
ahead.
it practically feels like December. We did our podcast this morning. For full transparency, we're recording after we did our interview, and it was at 8 a.m. So that means I was walking the dogs at 6. Still kind of dark out, freezing cold, man.
It's not freezing cold. It's actually cold here, and I hope you took your Nupsy out of storage for this week.
Nupsy?
That's a North Face puffer jacket.
Oh, I don't have one of those, but maybe I should get one. I wear Arc'teryx.
Yeah, but you have California Arc'teryx. You have like a rain slicker and a light puffer.
Yeah, I'm actually eyeballing a vintage puffer right now. That's real poofy, but it's kind of like a dark orange, kind of like your sweater. It's a great vibe, but like you're not always in the mood to wear an orange. Because I have an orange Arc'teryx raincoat that I love, but it's like you really got to be in the mood to wear construction orange.
Yeah, blaze orange. No, you're right. I mean,
blaze.
Does it make your chest bigger? Because that's nice.
Any help that I can get. My little B cup. My little B cup.
Where did you find this puffer?
I'm not telling you my fucking sources, bitch ass. This secret shit.
I don't buy you. For some reason, buying a used puffer feels insane to me, actually, but I'll buy anything else used. I don't know why.
Because the body sweats in a cocoon sack in there, you know? There's decades of moisture and toxins lining the down feathers. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong, but I just hope you're prepared, because it's actually going to be fine when you get here. But
it's mint condition. It's like new.
It's very cold right now. It's like cold.
Like how? What the temp?
Like 30.
That's light work, bro. That's light work.
Come on, that is not light work. It's going to be 75 in LA today, probably. The sun is shining.
I was thinking yesterday. I really wish that heat tech technology, Uniqlo makes heat tech where it's like very thin Skims style Under Armour warming garments, but I put them on and it's like a 12-year-old wearing 5-year-old pajamas. Like I'm way, way, way too big for them, and I would like some bespoke, custom.
Okay.
Like stretchy.
Well, I hope that
Long John underwear.
The Long John creators listening will maybe be interested in
Long
doing
John creators
doing something. They'll go into their atelier and kind of
part of the creator economy. Yeah, I don't know who out there is listening. I don't know. I mean, I don't think Bodhi does that kind of stuff.
It's Bodhi does crochet heat tech. It's a little too breathable, if you ask me, but
it's very thick under your garments. Actually, that reminds me, when I hit New York, I need to go pop in the atelier, and maybe we'll do a little tailoring for a post. I'll put it on my Instagram stories.
What are you gonna get? What do you think?
I don't have any intention of getting anything, but they've been nice enough to extend an invitation to me to come through, so I kind of want to just, I don't know, I guess freestyle something, be inspired by the fabrics in the room, the tees.
I know that you're
like that.
You're a fabric first guy, and that's kind of why we get along, is like you start there and then you obviously have an eye for construction as well. Don't get me wrong, but it has to start with fabric.
It starts at the thread. Starts at the thread.
Jesus Christ. Okay. So before this morning, I was on twitter.com and I found a story that came out today in the New York Times Magazine about a punk museum that opened in Las Vegas. And I click on the link, and the lead image is Fat Mike from NoFX, who is like part of this whole thing. So it's like a full giant museum off the strip in Vegas where they have a bar, but they've also like recreated Pennywise's practice space. And they have like a tattoo parlor, and it's like, I think it's going pretty well, but it's just it was insane to see Fat Mike in the New York Times. Also, Fat Mike is apparently LGBTQ plus.
He's everything, man.
and is upset that he's not being embraced by that community. And I was like, well, lose some weight.
I think he's not embraced by that community because he's one of the most offensive, vile people on earth and has said some of the nastiest things about many people in that community.
What's interesting,
But by golly, if NoFX doesn't know how to write a pop punk tune, one of the greats.
the story
Toxic
is great.
Kings.
It's really good and really interesting.
I think this feels like an offshoot of the punk rock bowlification of Las Vegas over the last 10 years, where
Yeah.
they've built it up to the point where they can plant a flag off strip and recreate Pennywise's practice.
It's
a thing that nobody ever asked for or needed.
It's so sick. And they do celebrity tours. So it's like you can sign up and like a guy that played fucking auxiliary percussion in the Misfits will give you a tour of the like their tour. I was just
one of the dead milkmen will show you where the men's room is.
one of the not dead milkmen. I hadn't heard or seen this, and it's something that I feel like I should check out when I go to When We Were Young next year, 2024.
Oh, it's a must-hit destination. You got to go by Carboni. You got to go Punk Rock Museum off the Strip, and there's this really good Thai food spot I got to tell you about.
So you guys know all about the Neon Museum. Let me show you the Punk Rock Museum. This is a little cool.
I like a mafia tour myself. You know what I mean?
But yeah, it's just a very interesting thing that I definitely want to go do, and I think they actually have crazy shit. Like it's probably pretty good, like what they actually have.
They got the Descendants glasses.
You know, they got the Milo Goes to College original mug.
You got Henry Rollins poetry books and pull-up bar.
But what was interesting is that it points out that I guess that NoFX and like over their career has done a lot of like they raised all this money for like an anti-George Bush thing, and like they got all these people to sign up to vote. So that was kind of Fat Mike's argument. Is he's like, nobody fucks with me, but what about all this shit I did? And they're like, yeah, bro, sorry, you got blue hair and you look like shit. I can't do it. You know,
despite all of your positive accolades, your appearance and demeanor and everything about you still easily overshadows any positive attributes you've.
It's very, very, very bad,
and he has to know that.
So also though, once again on Twitter.com, friend of the show Rachel Tastian, posted earlier about something that feels like it's the new Celine men's collection has LCD Sound System Losing My Edge as the soundtrack and name checks Dime Square. And I quote, the emergence of a strong utopian and free artistic youth from the area of Dime Square to the borders of Brooklyn confirms the return of the New York scene. And I hate this, Jason. I really do. I really, really do. But
who wrote this?
That I don't want to be you, but it does feel like AI. It actually feels like AI. I hate AI. I don't believe in it.
I think in this situation, we hope that this was written by AI and not a real human being.
We hope,
because if a real human being wrote this, and is Slamon still at Salon?
Slamon, yeah. Big Slim is still over there.
So Big Slim read this sentence and gave it a check mark, green thumbs up, approved.
Yeah, I mean,
is that safe to say?
That is.
So that at that point, then it doesn't matter if this was written by AI or a PR person. The person who wrote this probably we may know them.
Oh yeah, definitely.
They may be listening to this right now and they're upset, but it still comes down like somebody who runs the coolest guy in fashion of all time read that and was like, bet, run it, approved. This sounds
bet,
good.
Run it.
I like that we're calling Dime Square utopian.
I mean, there's nothing about it. I thought we were done with this. But I guess that it's
that's Hetty's way.
It's trickled all the way
everything up in life where you're like, I thought we were done with this, and Hetty's like, nah,
put on the Rockstar.
There's still 2 more drops left in this old orange from 2004.
Put on the Rockstar skinnies, do a little coke, and listen to LCD Sound System, bitch. We're back. I don't know. unbelievable that Dime Square is still part of the conversation. It's a 2-block radius that now has a beautiful hotel. There's not much happening there. I love acai, but I don't love it that much, you know?
It's a nice place to smoke a cigarette, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, the people are hot, so that's probably a big part of it.
Where they at, though?
Where are they at, though? All right, we have a guest today. You know the band, Jason, Future Islands, don't you?
Yeah, of course. Future Islands. Yeah, we chatted with Sam. We had a chat with Sam, their front person. We actually had a very fun, amazing chat. It's always good when we don't talk about music or the album that they're here to release and promote. He's living in Nolans right now, so we get into that a lot. It's actually very TJ coded. Knee injuries, New Orleans.
It's true.
And crab and crawfish.
I'm about to go record an episode of at an Adam Faze produced watch show for TikTok.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's a big show.
I don't know. I'm just.
Is it the one where you walk into like this? It's like a jewelry district building, and it's like a father and son, and they're like, "Get this fucking piece of shit out of here!"
It's called Clockwork. I haven't seen it. I trust Adam, and I said, "Let me know, bro. Like I'm coming through."
I think what happens is you go in. You want to buy a watch or you want to sell a watch, and then a father and son insult you, and then you haggle.
This is perfect. Okay, so I'm finally going to get look, Bezel.
It's very Pawn Stars coded.
Bezels, you got some competition now.
Best I can do.
Who's going to give me the royal? Best I can do is $50. That's the best I can.
Royal Oak. That's a $100 bill all day. I'll do 70.
Yep.
I'll do 70.
All right, how long gone? Thank you guys for listening.
Bye. We're going through merch stuff right now, Sam. You like that? Remember when you had to do your own fucking merch?
Oh, I remember. I'm still doing. We're still on those meetings, man. And sometimes I'm just like, I don't care, but it matters. It really matters.
Yeah, it's a challenge. It's a challenge to do it all. Well, we're doing a show at Webster Hall on Saturday here in New York.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
And
love Webster.
I think we just got our first, Jason, correct me if I'm wrong, our first email from the venue being like, we're going to take a percentage of your merch sales.
Oh, welcome. You guys you made it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. I was like, this feels like a real rite of passage because it was a big issue. You know, it was, or whatever. There was a lot of people talking about it a couple months ago.
Yeah.
It's an honor for you to take 20% of my income, massive corporation.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Yeah. It's kind of great. I don't know if I'm supposed to say, like, because Live Nation is doing a thing. They're like, I don't know if it's going to be forever, but I know for a time they're like, our venues are not going to take a cut.
Yes.
And people are like, well, that's really, I shouldn't talk bad about Live Nation.
Hey, we all suck from the teat of Live Nation. That's family.
Yeah. I mean,
you're talking to two members of Nation over here.
They are. I think that what you're talking about, where they're like the give back, or they weren't going to charge it, but there's also, I think they were giving like a stipend to bands that made under a certain amount of money.
Really?
Touring is, it was really insane. Kind of what
it was like when
doing.
Donald Trump gave everybody $1,000. It kind of feels like that, you know.
Well, that's the thing. I'm like, well, that's great, but also the venues that really need, the smaller venues are going to need to match that, and then they're gonna suffer, and then they can just get bought up again. It's just it's like, well, we're doing this because we can do it. We can afford to lose. But I mean, it should be that. I mean, honestly, artists really need that merch. I mean, I remember the old days when we would sell 6 or 7 CDRs for $5 a piece, 3 or 4 T-shirts, and that was gas money, and that was all the money you made from a show. Like, we lived like that for years, where you live completely off merch. You're making $20 off a door, and the $40-$50 you make, you're like, we can eat Taco Bell.
Yeah, you've arrived. You've arrived.
Yeah, but the exposure is priceless, though. Sam.
Yeah. The exposure. I know that those crowds in Tacoma on a Tuesday were huge. But it's
the opportunity.
It's the big opportunity. It's also about building character for oneself.
Yeah, of course.
I think that Jason is a DJ. I was in a short-lived hardcore band in high school, but went to many shows where there were no people. And it's part of putting a little hair on your chest, as they say.
Well, I think isn't that part of the American dream? Is well, you ain't gonna get shit, but you're gonna build character.
Yes, that is what they.
It's like
what they sold us.
That's
what
movie from the 50s and 60s. Like it's building character. It's like shit.
I've built enough character. I would like to make money now. It's kind of where I'm at in my life.
Yeah, I mean, everyone who's famous now, you have to have your origin story where life wasn't so easy and it was really tough. Otherwise, we're not really able to appreciate you as an artist, right?
Yeah,
you know, it's like the inverse of a nepo baby. You have to be,
yes,
you know, a gutter baby for us to really respect you now at this point, you know, or at least for me to respect you.
Well, I mean, it's such a tricky thing too, because I've thought about this a lot the last few years, because the way that social media functions, there's no chance for an artist or someone we consider a celebrity to be like 50 and 60 and write an autobiography, because they literally, like, if you're a kid now growing up, you literally just have your whole life is open. So in a way, it's just weird to me in the sense that social media companies are like already selling people's autobiographies before they have a chance. Like kids feel that they have to tell about like terrible things that happened in their young life that probably takes some more time to process.
Yeah.
You know.
No, it's very it's very real, and I think that the real rise of like the YouTube thing, where it was just like I get on the camera and spill about my life every fucking day, and that's what you're here for, that's where it took a wrong turn.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
You know,
like no, make a product. But
exactly.
It's like, do it like I do it.
Well, do you think that there's a not so distant future where Apple will have this built into their software where you can just hit a button that says autobiography and it just creates this multimedia story of your entire life, and then that's just it? I mean, we're pretty much there, right?
It's possible. I mean, our phones do that to us. They're like, hey, are you having a good day? Do you remember where you were 2 years ago? Having a good day?
Remember your ex-girlfriend?
Yeah.
It's only why does it never? But it does feel sinister because it never shows me a happy memory. Maybe I don't have any happy memories. Maybe it's me, but I don't ever get those.
To me, my phone, like, there's an album that my phone creates where it's like, you bet you thought you deleted all of these pictures of your ex. Well, I got 17 of them, and here they are.
You thought?
Yeah.
I mean, I read a lot of biographies, and the new trend of doing them young is also interesting, because I feel like maybe the trend of doing it young is because social media has like gotten you used to the idea, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Or people, we've talked about it a lot on the show, because we talked to Mark Ronson. He's doing one that focuses on like 90s nightlife in New York only, you know, but it's like from his point of view. Or like Moby did one right until he got famous, and then one post play, which I and Rob Lowe did too. I like doing two. I think that's a cool way to do it.
The publisher probably likes that too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that is kind of what life is like. If you write or it just in the sense, like if you're young and you're kind of already collecting your life at 25, then you're really going to be thinking about how your life is going to play out as you're living the next 10 or 15 years. So like, I got to make this good for the book. You know what I mean? It's not like a natural.
Yeah.
Is that completely unhealthy to have that thought though?
Well, I think there's ambition involved in that thought, which is possibly positive, but with ambition comes the greater possibility that your potential you will not meet that potential.
My life was not a movie.
Yeah, and that's pretty devastating.
Wait a second.
I am devastated.
And on my 33rd birthday, I was hand washing my socks in the sink of my studio. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Of course not. But that's not what we want in the second book. Not the second book. So you told us that you're coming live from New Orleans, that you live there.
Yeah. I'm down in New Orleans these days. I've been spending most of my time down here for the last about a year now.
Okay, so New Orleans is one of the wildest.
Seems like a great town to be sober, right?
Well, that's kind of the funny thing. So my buddies hit me up like, "What are you doing down there?" And I'm like, I don't think I'm doing it right. Like, I'm basically I'm not sober on purpose really, but I'm just like trying to be healthy, trying to get ready for the next year's touring. And yeah, I wake up at like 6:37, take a 5-6 mile walk. I was telling Chris that I'm in physical therapy for my knee because I got a busted up knee. So I'm like, I'm doing like healthy New Orleans, but it's a beautiful city. You can just kind of it kind of like reveals itself every day. You know, when you live somewhere, so I love to take walks. And when you live somewhere, I've been in Baltimore for 14 and a half, 15 years. You know, it's I have to walk 3 miles just to go on a new walk. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yes.
I gotta walk. I'm gonna walk out of here. It's just like so, you know, I need something to change. And that's kind of my life too, just being used to living out of a suitcase and sometimes I feel more comfortable in like a hotel room than I do in my own room. Because I still have a room in Baltimore. It's like where my stuff lives. I just don't live there.
Storage with
what was the appeal? What was the draw to New Orleans? Just something different that looked nice?
I got a lady down here.
Oh, okay. Duh. All right. I assumed that is why. But I didn't know. But is she from there or does she just live there too?
No, she lives here too. So she's been here. I think she's been here like 3.5 years. So it's kind of fresh to her. Very fresh to me. I mean, I just played through. I probably only played through here 6-7 times. We used to play a lot more in the old days. I almost got stolen once.
You personally almost got stolen?
Go on.
That's a kidnapping, Sam. That's what we call that.
We don't know that.
There's this kind of a classic dive in New Orleans called the Saint. And we played there a couple times back in the day, which if you go in now, you'll be like, how the hell did you play in here? Because it's just like, you know, a concrete one-story concrete floor.
They don't seem to have electricity. How did you perform?
How did this work?
Yeah, there's just like people giving me shots throughout the show. I don't really remember how the show ended. You know, and we're on the same concrete floor that the audience is on. So I'm just like face to face with people. At some point, I just didn't like what was happening. I ran outside. Jumped in the van that was parked outside. It was, you know, middle of summertime, 100 degrees out at midnight, and turned the car on to get the AC running, and then just leaned the chair back and passed out. The guys found me. They found me like an hour and a half later. I rolled down all the windows because it was hot inside the car, but blasted the AC, and they like wake me up like, dude, what are you doing? You could have gotten stolen out here. So it's the potential of being stolen.
Okay. Well, New Orleans if you're going to get stolen, it feels like a place where that could happen. Yeah, I would say that it couldn't happen everywhere.
Wake up at a party, man. Could have been fun.
But I feel like it could. Jason just went for the first time and he loved it. Like literally last week.
Yeah. 1 week ago. Yeah. It was my first time. And I really did find that you kind of have to drink through the town or else it's kind of tough to really be a member of society there, and which luckily I do drink, but it was 2 days of it with those red beans and rice. I went to the Po' Boy festival.
Oh, nice.
So the insides of my body were
Hold on, I don't
bad.
think we discussed this. Yeah, you went to the Po' Boy festival?
I missed this. Yeah, I missed this.
It's uptown, Sam. You know Uptown?
Yeah, I know Uptown.
Take the streetcar over there. It's nice, but there's an annual. Maybe it could be multiple times a year. I don't know, but they shut down like 5 city blocks of Uptown. It's beautiful, and everyone in town. It's like people that make po' boys, new restaurants doing their own flair on it, fusion po' boys, and then you drink and there's bands playing. It's a New Orleans street fair, you know. There's a giant inflatable mayonnaise that you can take photos in front of.
That's fun.
Now we're talking. That sounds like a highlight.
But I ate 5 po' boys in 48 hours.
Hell yeah.
Okay, can you explain to me actually, since I have 2 experts here, what exactly constitutes a po' boy?
Well, in 2023, it's tough because most of the po' boys I ate were $17 to $22. So I don't know how these boys are.
Yeah, I think it's just about having the baguette, cheap baguette, and it probably came from like the shavings from nice meat cuts and you know, just kind of, it's just a po' boy because it was like a food for people that didn't have a lot of money. So you just like back in the old days, but now it's a staple. So I fuck around with like fried oysters and of course fried shrimp and stuff like that. Like,
of course, fried shrimp.
Yeah, the fried oyster po' boy, that's my favorite one. But oysters, especially nowadays, ain't cheap. But yeah, just a cheap, crunchy baguette like you have a banh mi on, Chris.
Okay.
You know about those tofu banh mi.
I've had a banh mi.
Yeah.
And whatever you got, some mayonnaise, some lettuce, and whatever slop meat you got around.
Okay.
And it is delicious.
The banh mi is dope here too because it's probably part of that, the po' boy, but it's also the French.
Oh, yes.
French
Yeah.
fusion, and so it's like the French. There's a really large Vietnamese population here. I think one of the largest in the country.
It's true.
Houston, which isn't too far away, is also like a great Vietnamese food city.
I've had some delicious Vietnamese food in Houston. I'm a Houston apologist. I love it there.
I love Houston.
I don't know why.
You don't have to apologize, man. I love Houston too.
You do to me. I'm not. I don't really get Houston.
Well, Jason,
yet.
you went there for 12 hours and played a pool party, so that's on you, kind of.
Yeah, you did it right.
That was the only time I enjoyed it. I've been there. I've DJ'd all kinds of bad parties. The pool party was the only time it was good, but you kind of get there and you're like, okay, hot as fuck. Really, really hot as fuck. And everyone's 18 months behind. Okay, I get it. No shade.
No, I just like it. I instantly liked it. I instantly liked it. But I'm from Atlanta, so I feel like the South, I gravitate towards it, no matter what. But New Orleans didn't do it for me. I don't mind Dallas even, but I don't want to. I don't want to live there necessarily. But it's fine.
New Orleans isn't like the South. It's different. Like New Orleans is its own.
Yeah, I agree. I said this to.
I don't want to say.
I said this to Jason.
I don't want to say strange.
I said this to Jason.
It's an island.
I was like, it's kind of like Florida meets Europe. Is the way I kind of described it.
A Florida man, it's on a plane,
which on paper shouldn't work
because it has those tropical temps.
I was down in the swamp. Yeah, when I was there, they're like, "Yeah, it's freezing. It might dip down into the 60s." And I was like, "That's funny." And they're like, "No, that's as cold as it gets. Like, it's fucked up here." And people, I've heard that people who live in Nowlands full time will go on like cold vacations, like go up to Minnesota for like 3 days, just to like. I guess maybe it's a cold plunge sauna effect on a more global scale. I don't know.
Yeah.
You're like, I just need to be in 15 below snow for a couple days, get my head straight, and go back down to the.
See how the other half lives. Yeah.
I mean, Baltimore has fucked up winters though, right?
Yeah, but it's not. It's actually pretty similar to New York City as far as temperatures, but like Baltimore doesn't take snow well, so it's one of those cities where it just turns to sludge immediately, and it's just like really gross.
Is that where snow crabs come from? I just noticed you seem to live in crab-friendly locales. Care to comment on that?
I have a confession to make. I am 1/4 crab. I
got some crab in me.
I've got some crab in me, and it's not for lunch.
Free ride for college. I got my college paid for. I got a quarter crab in me.
No, I haven't really thought about it. I don't even eat crab. Like my dad.
What?
I will eat crab, but I don't like.
Gun to my head. I'll eat.
I don't like working for my food that much.
I don't eat. I'm so with you on this, and that is the main gripe with crab legs specifically. It's a lot of work for very little payoff.
Would you prefer it if somebody fed the food to you as well, like the airplane goes in the mouth kind of style?
Yes.
Or
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. That's no problem.
If that's an option, yeah.
I'm trying to think of what other foods require work like that.
But the other one down here is crawfish. That's the big thing in New Orleans. And when I was living out in Sweden before this, like they love crawfish, and I'm just like, I don't see the appeal for this little, if I could, I guess maybe bigger crabs are like that, or like lobster, but it's like, I want to like do this work and then find like a cheeseburger inside of this shellfish, this crustacean. Just like what's in here?
The payoff is kind of letting you down for how much. I mean, the crawfish is the ultimate labor to flavor ratio offset.
Oh, yeah.
Like that's the largest offense, I would say.
I think so. Although I will peel shrimp all day. I'll peel the shrimp.
One thing about me, brother, I'll peel shrimp all day long.
I'll try body by shrimp.
So you were in Stockholm, or you were in?
I live between Malmo and Stockholm. So Malmo's in the south.
Yeah.
And Stockholm. So
great skate scene in Malmo, from what I've
heard.
Yeah,
for sure. And they do the big I think they do a big Copenhagen Open. It's like it's just like 40 minutes to Copenhagen on the train. So
no shit.
Maybe even close. I made like 20 minutes. But yeah, so I was living out. Had a partner out there for almost 5 years, and spent all my time. This is like it's a thing I do. Like there's a lady. I live somewhere new now.
I see a trend happening, Sam. I see a trend.
Yeah.
Have you ever lived anywhere that you wanted to live, Sam?
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
You're like, is that even an option?
Nah. I guess Baltimore is the one place that I moved that was like for me. And then the woman I was seeing at the time left immediately. She was like, nah, this ain't for me. And that's how Future Island started. Yeah. That's how the band started.
Letting the women in your life choose where you live is better, because Sweden, Nolans versus Baltimore. No offense to Crabtown over there, but you know.
Sweden. I love Stockholm. I went for the first time like last year, and I was like, I'll live here right now. I'm ready.
Yeah, it's a great city.
Was it easy to acclimate as an American man? Was it okay?
Well, I mean, yeah. As far as like all the Scandinavian countries, as far as like an American, I don't speak any other languages, so it's easy to get around there because everybody speaks English. So that was chill. I mean, there's definitely like it's cultural, like I feel like I was just watching something the other day that was taking place in Stockholm, and I was just like, oh yeah, that's what it's like there. That's the way the people are, and it's just so interesting to understand that the culture of a place a lot deeper. But I'm not a traditional Swede by any sense, because I'm probably a little bit more gregarious and outgoing, and that's not really.
And height comes into play as well, probably.
Yeah, and I just don't. I don't look like Scandinavian. Well, I am not a quarter crab. I am a quarter Filipino, and all of that kind of. It's kind of a thing that's followed me throughout my life of just being like, you don't look. What are you?
Sure.
I have 1,000 questions.
Definitely got that there.
I fit in great over there. I think that's why I like it. They don't. I just look like I could be one of them.
Yeah, black. You in a black trench coat, man.
That's all you need. Yeah, I'm wearing too much color right now to fit in for sure.
Yeah,
doesn't Chris look like we're watching him on an inmate video? Like he's about to have his deposition over Zoom.
Bro, they got me on RICO charges. I'm gonna get off.
I'll take a screenshot.
I'm gonna get off. I swear. This is a nice sweater. Fuck both of you guys. This is a nice sweater. It's cashmere.
I didn't say anything.
This is Sam. You're collateral damage. Sam, sorry. You're the enemy. You're the enemy now.
Chris, when a joke is good, a joke is good. So does that mean I didn't know that you were a quarter Filipino? I feel like that must be where you get so much of your stage and showmanship from, right?
Yeah.
And the way that you sing and command the stage.
Yeah, me and Bruno Mars grew up together.
Well, the Filipino people known for being amazing performers and singers and entertainers, from the largest stages to any, karaoke in the living room kind of vibe, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's pretty cool because, like, I'd always heard as a kid that I had this, like, you've got a famous uncle who's like a Hawaiian ukulele player, and it was years later, we didn't have the internet back then, so I couldn't like look up this guy. But years later, it like came to me because I was in Hawaii for the first time playing a show. I looked up, this name that had been said around my house, Manny Lagad, which is like the dopest name ever.
Holy moly!
And I looked him up, and he was this. He wasn't a ukulele player; he was a bass player, and he played with Don Ho for many years in his band. And then I like found out he was still performing. He lives in Torrance, south of LA.
Oh shit!
And he's still performing and singing. He does like Frank Sinatra style big band show tune stuff. And
really,
and I looked him up. We got in touch, and he's like a cousin once removed. It's funny because I'm like. Yeah, I met him and I'm like, it's so good to meet you, Uncle Manny. And he's like, I'm actually your cousin because I'm your, whatever. And I'm like, you're 75. Can I call you on that? I feel weird calling
It
us.
would make me feel better if I could call you uncle. Let's not get into the reality of the situation. That's not important to me.
Yeah. But it was really cool to meet him because he's like, he played in the Cotton Club back in the day. Like they had like the longest run of consecutive shows there, and he's traveled all over the world. And for me to be able to have that kind of have this weird like cross-generational understanding of the same thing was really cool, because of course like my family is really understanding and supportive of what I do, but I don't think they can, just like your friends can't completely understand what it is that you do.
Sure.
Uncle Manny understands #tour life like no other member of your family.
Uncle Manny very much understands, and he hashtags heavy like all of his posts.
You're like, it's weird that you knew that about him. So has Manny ever been like, so Sam, any opening slots on that new tour coming up, or what do you think, huh?
No, but he comes through. I would.
Your bass player is okay, but maybe I could audition.
Ooh, Manny's got the hook, man.
Your bass player is very good.
Yeah, William's dope. I don't think we're kicking Manny, or don't think we're kicking William out to get Manny in, but but I have thought about the idea of doing like getting this father-son duet song. Like how do we work this in, just to have, I don't know, just to experiment a bit and have some fun with that.
Well, I need to look into this. I live in LA, so Torrance is not too far away. Maybe I'll go check out Uncle Manny.
Yeah, he's a barber down there, man. He's a barber too.
Oh, hold on! I can get a fade, and I get to hear him.
Manny does it all.
Oh,
you
I
can
can
get the lineup,
and he's gonna sing.
Get the lineup.
This is lit. Okay.
Yeah,
that's a one-stop shop.
Manny's getting a big plug right now on How Long Gone.
Dude, check out Manny Legod. But it was so cool when I found this picture of him. I was just like, oh my God, he looks just like my grandma. He looks like my mom. You know, it's like I saw that the shades, and then I saw him sing, and I'm like, it's me.
He's got the sauce.
Cool.
It's me.
because like that whole side of my family, like my mom, she came over when she was 3.5, and her mother, most of her mother's family lived between Hawaii and like San Francisco, or in the Philippines, but they moved all the way back to South Carolina and then quickly to North Carolina, which is where my mom grew up, and then where I grew up. So she was really removed from her family. So when I don't really know anything about this huge family that I have. She had like 13 brothers and sisters, and so when I met Manny, I was like, it's so cool because I have like such a small family to meet like another part of my family. And he's like, no, you have like 250 cousins. Like,
your family ain't small, bro.
You have a massive family.
And they all want a little bit of money from you now.
Cousin Sam seems to be doing okay. Let's see what he's up to.
No, but that's a dope thing in the Filipino community too, is like, even as like a quarter Filipino, like if I meet somebody and I'm like, I'm a quarter Filipino, they're like, they immediately just call you cousin. You're like, it's cousin. And I love that sense of pride and just feeling a part of that. Cause that was something that, I didn't have that growing up. Just knowing that part of myself.
Yeah, I hear that. Well, speaking of performing, how many times have you opened for Morrissey?
Once.
Only once.
Okay, what was the circumstance?
Okay, because I was thinking, I was listening to an interview with you from last month or recently, and you were talking about it, and I was thinking like, when was the last time Morrissey opened for somebody else, if ever? You know what I mean? When do you think that may have been? And then I want to talk about you opening for Morrissey.
It would. I imagine he hasn't opened for anybody else in a while. I mean, I don't even know if he does festivals or has done festivals.
I wonder. Yeah, Jason, that's a good question. I feel like it would be something weird.
I'd like to think that from the inception of Morrissey, like post Smiths, he had a thing where it's like, I never open. I always play
Honestly,
last.
I feel like he might have done something weird, like open for the Rolling Stones once in the
possible.
90s or something.
Something like that. Yeah,
and he's really tight with the Gallaghers too. So, or I know he was tight with Noel. So, I mean, I could also see him maybe playing some shows there. But
could you imagine?
But he, like when he does a show, it has to be like the spread has to be all vegan. So, like he will not do a show if there's. And that's difficult if you're having, if you're doing if you're touring with somebody else, you don't really have a say in what they do and what they want. So kind of lack control. I feel like he needs that control.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's something he's known for.
Okay, so you got, what was it like opening for him? Are you a fan? Did you even care? Or was it intimidating? Chris and I are both big fans.
I'm a huge Smiths fan. The Smiths in my darkest days, deep in a cocaine driven
do it in the Morrissey voice. Do it in the Morrissey voice.
22 years old.
In the darkest days.
I was really high. And I could only listen to like 3 albums, and it was the Smiths self-titled MF Doom, Operation Doomsday, and Magnetic Fields Get Lost. And I would just listen to those.
You were on drugs. Okay.
Sam, that is a twisted trio you just described.
People coming over to buy drugs from me, and I'm just like in candlelight listening to them.
Yeah, come on in.
They're like, well, you got a whole mood going. I was like, they shut the power off. Like, take your shit, get the fuck out of here. So I had some moments with Morrissey and the Smiths. I never really caught on to his solo stuff. Didn't really get me, but yeah, I mean, we were really excited to get the opportunity to play with him. The big thing about that show, of course, being that I'm of course going to try to upstage him, no matter what I think of him.
Out Morrissey on his own.
I'm going to try to, and his fans are his fans. You know what I mean? Like, they're there for one thing.
Yeah. They weren't there to see you guys? That's weird.
Although we did make some, we definitely made some fans from that show who I still will see to this day at shows, and they'll be like, they've told me, we did not like you or we did not understand you, but then it, it grew on us. Yeah.
Let me be clear.
That was not cool, but I get it now, and I'm a fan. So that's cool. But that show, I ended up because the Red Rocks. I was at Red Rocks, and the Red Rock stage is concrete. And I did it. In my attempt to upstage Morrissey, I did a James Brown knee drop on that stage, and I tore my ACL. Oh shit! And it remains torn to this day.
So you tore your ACL trying to out Morrissey. I feel like
it was like the dumbest thing one of the dumbest things I've ever done.
No,
how far into your set did you destroy your knee for your entire life?
Probably like 3/4.
Okay. So the adrenaline pushed you through to the end.
Yeah. Well, the thing was, like, I tore my reconstruction. So I tore my ACL at a show in 2010, 2009, got it repaired 2010 into 2015, tore it again, and now like I can't get it repaired. So my knee is like too destroyed.
Is this all? And this is all from? Was this years of hooping as a kid as well, or is this just performance?
Man, my hoop dreams all destroyed. To go on a side tangent, there was a time when I got my first ACL repair, or my one ACL reconstruction in beginning of 2010. Like this was right before our second album came out. I was working construction at the time, so I couldn't work. I was dead broke. And then our album leaked like 2 months before it was supposed to come out. At a time when albums leaked, I don't even know if they do that anymore. It was like devastating. It ended up being a really good thing because a lot of people got turned on to us through the leak that wouldn't have been. And then the tours were really successful after that. But I think the label did it on purpose.
Oh, okay.
These are Future Islands. I have Future Islands conspiracy theories.
R/Future Islands conspiracies.
I have conspiracy theories about my own band.
I think Diddy was involved.
Yeah. I mean, what? Okay, look, that would be interesting if you had a 360 deal.
Yeah,
I would believe that. But if it leads you to make money on touring, then maybe what is the label? What's the upside?
The label's like, look, these guys aren't going to sell jack shit. All right, let's just let's leak it, get them out on the road,
see what happens.
But it did work. It did work.
Yeah, it did actually work. But so, anyways, like I got my recon. I can't move. I'm just like in my room upstairs for like a week, and then I'm starting to be able to move around a bit. And in this time, there was like this was 2010. There was like that winter. There was beginning of 2010, there was a double blizzard in Baltimore. There's probably that up in New York too, but there's like 3 foot of snow on the ground. But I'm like been trapped in the house. Like my roommates are checking in on me and helping me get stuff, but I really want to leave the house. So about a week and a half, 2 weeks in, I'm feeling froggy. I'm like, I'm going to get out there in the snow, and with the full leg brace, after just having a recon, I like trek 2 miles into the city through the snow to get some soup. Like there was a place called Soup's On in Baltimore that made like the most
Soup's On
bland soup with the largest hunk of unsalted bread for like $5. It's like all I could afford. I'm like, I'm going to take myself out. So I'm there. I sit at my table.
Hardy, very hardy.
In this,
appropriate for the weather.
Kind of warming up, cold in this place. And
do you remember what kind of soup it was? Sorry for the interruption.
I think it was like a beef.
Food's my love language.
Beef and vegetable. Something hearty. Something hearty.
Yeah. Stick to your ribs.
So this guy, I'm in there by myself, and this guy comes in, he sits down, and he starts eating his soup. He's sitting like a table over, but facing towards me. And he's just like, without looking at me, he's like, ACL repair? And I'm like, yeah, I just got it done. And he's like, yeah, your leg's never going to be the same. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, it's never going to be the same. And I was like, oh, you've had it done. And he's like, I've had 3. Ruined my life, all my dreams. I was going to be a star. You're never going to be the same. And I was just like, I don't want to talk to you anymore, man. You're like bumming me out.
Thanks, old timer.
I just saw this. He was like,
look at me.
Like 32. And I was just like, oh my God. Like he wasn't much older than me. I was 25, 26 at the time. Wasn't much older than me. And I'm just like, I was so, I had this like hope and optimism. I got my leg fixed. But anyways, I've had knee problems since I was a kid. Like I popped the front of my patella playing baseball when I was a kid. Like the ligament pulled off the bone it was attached to. But when you're that age, they just like bandaged it up and it like reformed.
Yeah.
I have this thing called Osgood-Schlatter's, which is like you get these big bumps on the front of your knees. It's like they call it growing pains is like the euphemism for that. Where your bones grow faster than the ligament, cause a lot of pain. So I had dealt with that. But yeah, because I did grow up. I wasn't much of a basketball player. I was too short.
That was a joke. Yeah, that was a joke.
What position did you play in baseball?
I was a good baseball player and soccer. I was a shortstop when I was younger, and then when the field got bigger, I was first base.
You a lefty?
No, I'm just really good in the field.
I'm not left-handed. I'm just that good, bitch.
I was a left-handed first baseman.
I'm a short right-handed first baseman. Yeah, I'm not good.
Yeah, I'm not good.
Known for my stretch, though. I could really stretch.
Yeah, it's all about the stretch, man.
It's all about the stretch.
Are you doing experimental knee exercises, knees over toes, things like that? Are you on knee TikTok?
No. Knee talk. I don't think I'm there yet. So like one of the big reasons I'm down here now is because I got set up with a really good hospital network that's been helping me with my knee.
Tulane.
So I'm doing they're called Ochsner down here. Well, now I'm gonna I did Manny. Let's see what else I can plug. Let me plug a gigantic multi-billion-dollar hospital system. That's what they need. But the people have been really great. So I'm in physical therapy down here because I just haven't. I was never able to get my knee fixed. Like what I was going to say was when I tore my ACL at Red Rocks, like it hurt like a motherfucker. But I also thought that it was a meniscus tear because it didn't hurt like the first time I tore my ACL. Like I went trauma. I went trauma blind and
yeah.
It was really bad. But when I did it the second time, I thought it was a meniscus tear. My leg did swell up and I was in a lot of pain for a few weeks, but it went away. And then I was like, it'll be fine. And I just never went to the doctor because we were on tour. And then, a year passed, we were back on the road again after putting out the next record. And I immediately was like, oh, my knee there's something really wrong with it. So I went through another, year and a half of touring before I finally went to a doctor. I saw some people on the road. Everybody told me my ACL was fine because it was they would do the tests.
They'll give it a little wiggle test and like, oh, you'll be all right.
Yeah, they were like, no, your ACL is fine. It must be meniscus, blah, blah, blah. And then finally, after 5 years of living in pain, I was like, would someone please give me an MRI? And they're like, oh yeah, you're right. You don't have an ACL. I was like, come on, man. But I continue to just not do physical therapy. They, that was all they could do. They can't fix it. They're like, you have to be 50. You need a knee replacement, and you're too young. So that's I'm in that bullshit part of the healthcare system where they're just like, we aren't going to give you what you really need. We want you to be happy when you can't do your, when you're too old to do your job anyways. I was like, nah, I really need this right now. So
I really need this right now.
I'm in the prime of my walking years. I would love to have a knee that works.
So what is how do you deal with it on stage? Do you just power through and you're able to do it, or have you had to change kind of what you do?
Well, with anything, I mean, you kind of naturally change. I mean, the way you're going to perform at 25 versus 40 is going to be different. Through the emotional characteristics of what you're writing about now as opposed to then, or the way you choose to engage the audience. But it's so, and just what your body can do. Like, I can't do the really quick step stuff that I used to do.
You can't shake and bake anymore. You can only shake or bake.
Well, I can
do one of the two.
I definitely can do some. Yeah, I definitely can do some stuff, but it's also just naturally, your body just doesn't recover the way it used to. So but I am constantly finding new ways of doing things to put myself in less pain. I mean, the way I used to deal with it, even 2.5 years ago, I was just drinking. So I would just put myself, take 4 or 5 shots of tequila and then go perform, and then you don't feel the pain. But then because of that, pain is there for a reason. Like you're supposed to,
it's telling you something.
Hit the pain and then don't do that. But I was numbing the pain so I wouldn't feel it, and then needing more alcohol the next day to get through that pain. And it just became a really vicious cycle, not just for my body, but for my voice. And so since we got back on the road in 2021, I've been not drinking or barely drinking to just be more in control. And it's helped me out a great deal, in my recovering show to show, and all that stuff. Because I mean, we play like an hour and 40 minutes a night. And that kind of constant movement is, it just takes a lot out of you. It's a lot on your muscles and your bones, and
damn, bro.
Yeah, but you got to find new ways to do it. I mean, Jagger's still getting up there chicken dancing. You know what I mean? Like,
true. Well, we've talked about this before with some other people, more aging rockers. I think we talked about it with Thurston Moore and who else was it? Was it Devendra? But about the footwear on stage, when we're saying like Jagger was wearing the Hokas now when he's bopping around doing the chicken dance.
Oh yeah.
But you're at that age where, are you still holding on to a fine leather boot, or have you made the switch?
I switched shoes in 22.
Okay.
I had to.
Go on.
I wore
22. I had to make the change.
I wore the leather Converse All-Star for 12 years of performing, and I don't really realize it until now when I go, because it's funny because my style, that's like still my dress boot, when I'm going out for a night, I lace up tight the leather Converse All-Star high top, I love
put
that
out my
shoe.
Going out. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, I love that shoe, but when I put it on now, like I feel my knees disintegrating.
As soon as you strap it on, it's like,
really?
Yeah, just like walking, it's so flat that it's just killing me. And I'm like, how did I do this for so long? And I really think it added to a lot of the issues that I have. So just putting on like, New Balance. I've tried New Balances. I've tried Under Armour. I've tried Nikes, and any kind of trainer is better than that. It just doesn't look as cool, because when they capture me doing a high kick and there's like like the tongue of the or lip of the shoe is up. Whatever. What do you call the front of
It doesn't.
the toe?
It doesn't look as cool. I will agree with you.
It's a grandpa foot.
I would agree with you, but I mean, like you said, we have to evolve.
Can we Photoshop out the Under Armour logo from the tongue that's poking out, please?
Yeah. So I don't know.
Okay.
I have like, I don't know, 100 pairs of different black sneakers in a storage unit in Baltimore because I just buy them to see which is the one that can still look cool and be helpful to my knees. And the worse they look, the better they feel. So
always.
And now I just don't care anymore because I'm constantly searching.
We've got a lot of people at Nike and New Balance and Adidas listening to this pod right now. Maybe we need a Sam 1.0.
I need a signature. I think I deserve a signature.
Yeah, I think he's time to move from Flow Team and to have his own signature shoe. I think you're ready.
I've been in this game almost 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've been in it for 20 years actually. The band not quite 20, but we had one before, and I feel like I deserve it.
I think this is something that should be. I think this is something that's kind of under discussed. You know, is that after years you have to switch from your Saint Laurent, Cuban heels into something more sensible, and there does need to be the face of that movement. There needs to be someone architecting that product.
Right now, unfortunately, it's Martha Stewart for Skechers, it's like they look good and they feel good, So there's a lot of room between the 20-year-old and the 84-year-old demographic.
I feel like Skechers would come calling.
Yeah.
Skechers.
Oh, that's the problem. That's why Skechers is killing it so much. They're like the number 2 shoe company in the world.
Yeah.
Because they're like, yeah, we'll do that, and everyone's like, we're above it, and now Skechers is low key killing it.
Not even low key. No, Skechers is definitely top 3 for sure.
They got Snoop, man. They got Snoop.
That's true.
They got Uncle Snoop, Smokeless Snoop. Also, speaking of money, I heard that you mentioned that you lost a lot of money in the stock market, and I wanted to know which stocks you lost the money on.
Man, I'm way too embarrassed. I lost a bunch of money on this stock that was it was rat birth control.
Really?
I was like, this is gonna kill.
I mean, that's a great idea.
It does on paper. It makes sense that would do well. Yeah,
it's one of those stocks you can look at, and it's just like like for 5 years, it's just a descending chart. And I told my friends you should really put a few bucks in there. It's gonna do something.
So hold on, was this a tip?
This is why I don't have friends anymore as well, and had to move to Baltimore.
Ran out of town.
Got to change towns again.
Did you? Was this a tip from an insider, or was this just you reading the tea leaves?
It's just me being dumb.
Okay. All right.
It's like there is a need for this. I mean, I lived in Baltimore, it's like rats are I remember my first day I moved to Baltimore, my first morning there, William had moved up a few months before me. And we went on a tour of the Northeast. This was the beginning of 2008. And at the beginning of the tour, before the first day, I went for a job interview, got a job. So then when the tour ended, I went to sleep at William's house, slept on his couch, and then in the morning I woke up and I went to my first day at work, and it was like 6:37 in the morning, going to this cold warehouse to do. I used to do concrete fabrication, countertop sink work, and stuff like that. And
Baltimore shit.
I'm walking out the front door, shivering, tired, and as my foot hits the concrete, a giant rat just runs directly into my foot. And I jump up and start screaming, and it just sits there and looks up at me, and then just turns and walks away, just like, welcome to Baltimore.
Damn, that rat said that rat called you
so
a pussy and kept running.
Yeah, welcome to the street, motherfucker.
He did everything but take the Parliament light out of your mouth before he walked away, huh?
Man, but I was like, okay. So anyways, years later, I'm like, we got to get a control on these rats, man.
If it's one thing I know, it's rats.
It's personal. It's personal this time. It's personal this time.
A money pit.
But are you a stock market player? Is that something you're known for?
No, I don't do that shit. I tried it for a second, and I was like, this is terrible, because I didn't grow up with money. Like, my
Sure.
I don't think I don't want to put down my parents, but I don't think they also did not grow up with money. So I think they were always just trying to make it work, not really understanding it, how to use a system that makes you money. It was just like you work and then you make the money.
Yeah, of course. Sure.
So a big thing that happened for me was that I lost a lot of money trying to play stocks, not knowing what I was doing. And when I kind of got back to a 0 point, I was at first very devastated. And secondly, I felt comfortable knowing that now I'm at a place that I understand.
And I had to learn the hard way, but at least I learned.
Yeah, I will not make these mistakes again. There's a movie that I love called Barfly. It's like Mickey Rourke and Faye Dunaway from the 80s. And there's this part where he goes, he gets kicked out of the bar he loves, that he spends all his time, because he is always street fighting the bartender that he hates. And he gets kicked out. So he goes across the street. He sits at the bar and he sees Faye Dunaway. And he's like, "What's her story?" It's like, "Oh, don't talk to her. She's crazy." And he's like, "Ah, yeah." So he walks around the bar. He just won this fight from the bartender. And one of the guys who they're just betting on him in the alley gives him some money for winning the fight. So he goes over and he's like, 2 scotch and waters and a beer. And he slides all of his money he just got across the counter. And he's like, "Well, that's it. Back to zero." And she's like, "That's all your money? That's everything you have?" And he's like, "Yeah, it fits. It's good. It's good to feel normal." And I've always like thought that was such a, I don't know, it just hit me in a certain way. Cause for me, yeah, I tried to do these things to like help myself. But the truth is like, but the money kind of, it gets in your head. You're like, what am I supposed to do with this? Like, it's like burning a hole. Like, I almost want to just give it away. Like, I really learned
don't do that
through the process of success that I have a gambling problem. I'm like, shit. And something I realized in the last couple years, like finally going to therapy 2 years ago, was trying to get a handle on the fact that like, just my addicted personality. Like I'm addicted to sports. I'm addicted to, like, I have a gambling problem, which I don't entertain, but I realize that I like taking big gambles. It's not like I like to go to the casino or like I like to play slots, although I do like to play slots because I love to lose. But it is like this, I'm almost addicted to that feeling of the feeling, you know what I mean? Of like,
so you're like, I want to play like $100 high card because I need to feel like I'm about to die every 5 seconds.
It's kind of being addicted to anxiety.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. That is what it sounds like.
It's actually really weird. Like I had to make, I've talked about this a little bit recently, doing interviews again, but when I went to therapy, it was like right after this breakup with my ex in Sweden. And I was, it was a broken engagement. Like we had bought an apartment, I was like, and I thought my whole life was going this way. And all of a sudden, like I'm back in my room in Baltimore, like, what the fuck am I doing here? It was, I was trying to get a handle on, why am I repeating these same cycles? Why am I back here? What, how do I break this cycle? And I was trying to like understand my anxiety because I have a lot of anxiety. And that's something that's grown over the years, like, especially with the profile of the band or just being the more success that I've had, the more anxiety I've had. Cause you're like, there's a lot less anxiety when you ain't got shit to lose.
That's true. That's very true. Very true.
And then when you
back at zero again.
Yeah. When you have things to lose, then you start to worry about losing them and controlling them. But I made like a list of the things that cause me anxiety and the things that give me anxiety, and I realized that they are the same list. It's like the constant want to quit smoking. How do I deal with that? I go have a cigarette. Like the fear of slipping back into drug use makes me just like having that in my mind. Like, but then when I feel the lowest, when the things are the worst, I go try to score drugs, or wanting to hold on or like build some money for retirement and just like my future. How do I do that? Like gamble it on the stock market. And I'm like, rat stocks, that's the way to do it.
So we've identified a pattern,
Yeah,
and that's
so-
the first. That's the first step. That's a good place to be.
Yeah. So, but it was interesting, and it's like that it was just an interesting thing. It's like, well, you need to go to therapy and speak to a professional about this. But that's something that I recommend if you're out there embarrassed or worried or not wanting to do something or thinking you need something. I do. I've been in for 2 years now, and that's really helped me be more reflective and less reactive at times. Because that's the other thing is I'm a very emotional, quick reaction, and I've had to be more measured has been really helpful, not only in my life, but in writing and understanding the things that I like to sing about and talk about.
Okay, you're thinking before you speak now.
Sometimes, I mean, we're still the people that we are.
Pump the brakes. Not all the time.
It's an important thing to learn. There's a lot of times where you're a hothead and you say something that you probably shouldn't have said. I'm the opposite of you. I think too long before I say things where all the emotion has been sucked out of it. And partners in my life don't like that very much.
Okay.
I love that. I love that about you personally. I'm a little more of a hothead. I'm definitely a freak, but
Do you guys hit each other up for like advice when it comes to your romantic lives? Like, hey, I think I'm thinking about this too much. Can you tell me how would you do it?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think,
we have.
I think it's positive
for
to have
sure.
it. Like Garrett, the keyboardist in Future Islands, we've been best friends since we were 14, and I think it's one of the reasons we're friends is because he is the measured and stoic, like he really takes his time and he's pragmatic and practical. And I really respect that about him, like how he takes his time and the words that he chooses, he chooses carefully.
I respect that about Jason as well. I know exactly what you mean. I really do.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
You have to
All of my
recognize
friends like that. All the women that I've had sex with find it very frustrating.
yeah. So like you can't win them all. At least you have friends. It could be worse.
That's true. At least I have friends.
At least you got friends.
But yeah, it is important. I mean, and I think we find our yins and our yangs automatically in that life where something inside of you says this person will probably fill in some of the blanks that I have and vice versa,
Yeah,
Exactly.
And hopefully at the end of the day, they're hot.
That's all you can hope for. Thank you, Sam, for joining us today on How Long Gone.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for having me, guys.
It was a pleasure. And
Sorry that we didn't talk about your new album, but you do that on every other podcast where they're like, what was the process like?
Yeah.
And what's your favorite album of all time?
Yeah, this really zipped by, guys, because
That's the whole point.
That's the
I was
point.
like, when are we
do.
starting?
That's exactly the idea. But the new record is out in January, correct?
Yeah, January 26th is dropping, and we're figuring out dates now. So we'll be doing what we do best, which is being out on the road.
Right. And there's four singles from the new album that are currently available to listen to, I think.
1, 2, 3, yeah, four, and I think
I listened to
dropping very
all
soon.
4 of them a few times this morning on my frigid California dog walk.
Yeah,
It was great.
Awesome.
It was great. Well done.
thank you. Yeah, I'm really, really excited about it. I feel like it's the best thing that we've made as far as like the sonics of it all. And I think it's also capturing a really intense emotional time, which is going to make it last and hit hard. It hits me in the chest. So
Yeah.
that's what I want to give to people. I want to injure them.
Yeah, no, I appreciate. I want to treat my fans like my fucking knees. You know what I mean? Make these guys pay.
Yeah.
You want
these guys
everyone
pay.
going home from the Future Island show in body bags, stretchers, ambulances.
Yeah.
Oh,
Let's
my
open
Lord.
this shit up. Thank you, Sam. We'll see you soon, bro.
Appreciate it.
you.
Thank you guys so much. Yeah, have a great day.
Later.
Thanks, man.
I was on the F train, thinking about a holiday. I was on the M1, dreaming about my getaway. Red stripe reset, in-flight headset.